All right, something we talked about on Friday, former LSU safety Jamal Adams trying to get traded from the New York Jets. And the Jets are a hot mess right now. And he's put out a list of 7 teams reportedly that he would go to. And it came out today that he is making a strong push to try to get traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, he is from that area. That's a team that has, a pretty good roster, can make a playoff run, and he wants to be added to that because he's tired of playing for the Jets. And they have not had contract negotiations as far as getting a new deal. And you've had a rookie in his class, Christian McCaffrey, already get a new deal from the Carolina Panthers. Jamal Adams, a lot of people believe, including this host right here, is the best safety in pro football. So anytime you ask for a trade, though, and we talked about it on Friday, it doesn't really ever go your way.
I was about to say it doesn't go well.
Things never play out the way you want them to, and the Jets don't have to trade you to the Cowboys. In fact, they don't have to trade you at all. There's a lot of things where, and Dak Prescott in that contract situation right now, right? There's a lot of things they can do. They can franchise you. They can do a lot of different ways to make you stay a Jet.
You
either play or you hold out.
I mean, you can lose a lot of money. If they want to play hardball, he can try to hold out. Well, he's going to get his fines. He's going to get penalties for not showing up to practices. And, especially if you start missing games, you're going to start missing game checks.
And Maul's personality, he is so competitive. I can't see him sitting out games. Truly can't. I can't see him sitting out games. And they probably know that. I mean, they see him every single day. They know what kind of competitor Maul is. And I just don't know if the Jets, because they've come out and said that they don't want to, are going to trade him. But if I'm the Jets, I know I'm not a great football team. I know I have a ton of question marks on my football team. You never want to give up the best player at his position, but you can get a lot of value for Jamal Adams. But
what are they going to do with the value? I mean, because they've been a talking point for over 10 years. I mean, probably longer than that. But as far as when I start thinking about it, when Rex was there, you have the butt fumble. You have other players trying to.
They made some back-to-back AFC Championship games
with Mark.
When I was in the NFL, I believe it was 9.
They were on the verge, but they're a quarterback away. Do they like the quarterback they have now? I think he's a guy that
Sam Darnold. They got a lot of assets in him.
Yeah, they got a lot of assets in him. He's a guy that a lot of people thought could be a very good quarterback. But getting rid of your best defensive player, I think you're at a lose-lose situation right now. You're either going to lose your best player on defense, or if you hold on to him, it's just going to be a disgruntled mess.
The teams that he put out there were the Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, or the Seattle
They should trade him to the
Seahawks.
Browns.
To the who?
The Browns.
Let's got enough LSU guys. Let's go ahead and add
another one.
Well, the Jets are no in better position to compete than the Browns are. In fact, the Browns are probably in better condition to go ahead and at least push for somewhat of a playoff spot.
They got as much talent as anybody. I mean, you talk about the talent that's on that roster. It's what they do with it and how they come together.
In the NFL, that just never works out. Other sports, hey, you demand a trade, you get traded pretty quick. NBA, Major League Baseball, even in international soccer, right? Hey, put me on the wire. I want to have a transfer. Well, a team bids money. They get it. They sign you. It's a done deal. In the NFL, no other sport do you have conversations of a trade or a new contract to get drug out as long as the NFL. That's the nature of it. And the Players Association probably has a little bit to do with that, and they are so poor. You've heard me say that many a times here. It just never seems to work out in the players' favor. Le'Veon Bell, his Jets teammate, right? Well, he wanted a new contract from Pittsburgh. They didn't give it to him. Sits out a year, and then he gets traded to the Jets. And doesn't get the contract that he thought he was going to get. Signs with the Jets and doesn't get that contract, doesn't get that deal. It's just it is what it is. It's not a player-friendly league. It's just not.
I mean, football makes the worst money out of all your major professional sports, and we talked about that earlier, how it kind of blows your mind. But typically when you want to be traded, you don't want a guy on a team who doesn't want to be there. And it seems like in the NFL, they try to force your hand. They try to make you sit there, and you got to do what Le'Veon did, just sit out an entire season because they're going to play the cards that they have. They know that you're going to suffer more by not playing, and they know that they have the upper hand in the situation.
I hope Jamal Adams gets traded, but I don't think it's going to happen there. And the Cowboys, obviously, they're dealing with Dak Prescott. He's asking for a set amount of money to be one of the highest paid quarterback of all time. And that's a slippery slope as well. There's a lot of Cowboys that need to get paid. And if you give one player that amount of money, you cannot pay all of them. Zeke got his money as well.
Yeah, and Dak, being that it's the quarterback position, that's probably quarterbacks have the most power negotiating than any other position because there's only what you say 10 to 12 quarterbacks that you want to move forward with that have a shot of winning a Super Bowl every year. Those guys are so hard to come by, and if you let go of a guy like Dak and he goes somewhere and is successful, Andy Dalton doesn't work out, or whoever the next guy they draft doesn't work out, everybody's going to come back to, well, you let Dak go. It's a slippery slope, and they always want to push the market. But to me, I mean, it's tough. I think Dak is a good quarterback. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, and I don't think he deserves to be the highest paid.
Anytime a team starts locking up guys like that and they start paying a ton of money for 3-4 guys, I always look back and like, okay, well, you haven't made that run with this group.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't, but you've not made that run with this group. And when you sign those 4 players to this amount of money, well, the rest of your roster, because some of those guys are going to come off those rookie contracts, some of those Dallas Cowboy defenders that are on those rookie contracts that are really good players, well, sooner or later, they're going to want to get paid. And the salary cap in the NFL, that just does not allow for that.
It leaves you filling out your roster with people who are worth the minimum amount. I mean, you're going to go after the lowest paid players for the rest of it to fill out your roster.
Do you think the situation with Dak plays out like it does for Kirk Cousins with the Redskins when he kept getting just tagged, and then eventually he signed with the Minnesota Vikings?
I think Jerry wants to lock him up, but it seems like every time they get close, it gets pushed a little bit more. Dak's agent is playing it the way he can, and probably to make Dak as much money as possible. But I could see him being tagged twice.
Again, that tag, it's a nice payday. You don't have long-term stability, but let me tell you something.
It's like 31 this year, 38 next year.
That franchise tag for that position, because it's a number of the highest paid at your position, and that's where they get that number from like, not that a fullback would ever sign a tag, but if he did, that number would be extremely low. It would be a very low number. Not the case at quarterback. But the NFL.
Well, if you go back to remember that when Tyron was getting tagged, he wanted to get tagged as a corner. They were trying to tag him as a safety because it's all about those positions being paid.
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
Jimmy Graham was a tight end, but wanted to be tagged as a receiver because he's like, hey, I catch this many balls. I'm in the slot all the time. This many touchdowns.
Yep.
Go ahead and pay me like a receiver. And that was something that he pushed for. The system's stupid. Like, can we just call it like that?
Yeah.
It's dumb to be able to put a value on a certain position. Some players just mean different. And it doesn't matter what position they play. Like, some players just mean more to their team, and they shouldn't be grouped with other position players within the league.
For example, Jamal. As a safety, he's not going to make the money tagged as a safety as you would as a corner, but he's more valuable than any corner they got on that team.
Or a defensive tackle is not going to get tagged the same as a defensive end. Well, Aaron Donald, who's a defensive tackle, probably the best football player in the NFL on the defensive side of the football, but if he got tagged, it's going to be as a defensive tackle and not one of those edge rushers that gets paid more than anybody on the defense.
Would Taysom Hill get tagged as a quarterback?
They'd probably tag him as a tight end.
Well, no, I mean,
special teams.
He'd have to, he'd be tagged as a quarterback. Now, I don't think he'll ever get that. Well, he's already signed a new deal, so he won't get to that.
He's one of the guys that lines up at so many different positions. He kind of I would say he would pick quarterback.
And he would definitely, he would trust me.
I'm
quarterback. I'm not slash nothing. No, I'm a quarterback. It goes all. It all comes back to the NFLPA not being very good at their job. Can we just leave it at that?
I agreed.